Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another action-packed episode of Just Saying. I'm Shay, and Jarris here is going to break down everything we have to discuss because it's a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot in the initial breakdown, but we got a ton of things to talk about with a lot of noteworthy discussion. Starting off with everyone's favorite day of the NFL offseason, the NFL draft. We will be comparing our top 10 to the actual top 10, both Shay and I as well, talking about all the first round draft day trades, a little bit of surprising moves, maybe a little bit of head scratchers for some teams, and we're going to discuss all of that. Then we're going to move on to the playoffs because it's playoffs in basketball and hockey. Then we're going to get into some sports news from around the world. Then NASCAR racing weekend. Hell yeah, brother. And then we're going to finally do a MLB standings update because it's been 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
So we're going to break all of that down, see what's going on around baseball. And yeah, we're going to get right into it. First up, the pick is in. Or should I say picks? Bum, 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 bum.
With the first
no
pick of the 2025 draft.
Boo!
That's right.
Oh, come on.
Hey, Roger Goodell actually embraced it this year. He was egging on the crowd like, give me more booze. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's become a tradition now.
Oh, yeah. The only time they cheered was when the Green Bay Packers were on the clock.
Yeah.
So, the draft day held at Lambeau Field. I'm going to say a draft party sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, well, especially now that the NFL is going to a different city every year to hold the draft, it's just become a huge event. I saw something online, someone say the Super Bowl doesn't prove that the NFL is the king as far as North American sports go. The fact that especially this weekend, over 275,000 people 275,000 people showed up just for the first round, which is 32 picks on what was it, Thursday? For one day, just to watch 32 players get called, and that was it. Proves that the NFL is king. That's insane.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of very, very surprising moves, which you alluded to. You said a reporter from a notable source said to expect fireworks.
Yeah, said that last week. That's right. It was a very fun event, a wild weekend. I forget who hosts the draft next year. I can't remember. But good job, Green Bay and Lambeau and everything. It was an awesome event, it really was, and to see the sea of people that just come out to support football and new players getting promoted into the league is really cool to see, and it shows the sport is just alive and well.
Yeah, I gotta say, the draft, this was like the first year I watched the entire first round, and it was something just to see all these young men. Like, this is where it all begins.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
Dreams
so
are
cool.
made, and surprise announcements, surprise draft announcements, surprise draft pickers. It's a whole event that the NFL has turned it into, and it's really awesome. Before we get into our what the draft actually was and compare it to our drafts, a couple of things. Obviously, the biggest, Shedeur Sanders. He's the biggest surprise of the weekend. For him, he was supposed to be a first round pick for certain. A lot of people had him in the top 10. Both of us did. He fell all the way to the 5th round. He was the 144th pick by the Cleveland Browns. Arguably the biggest draft slide by a top prospect of all time. And before we get into how this happens, he was also prank called on day 2 of the draft. The Falcons defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich's son, ended up taking the blame. And it's it's a prank, yeah, but in my opinion, that's way too far.
Yeah, to mess with somebody's moment like that, a moment that they've dreamed of their entire childhood, their entire college career, throughout high school, throughout their teenage years. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. I
Ye-
don't think that, like, if you have a brain in your head, like, no normal person would think that that's okay.
Yeah,
Just to get a few laps.
yeah, exactly, and especially in Shador's shoes, who he was fully expected to go in the first round, if not the top 10, to then get a prank call on day two, and then he doesn't actually get picked until the fifth. Oh god, the emotions he must have gone through, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like the way Shador Sanders uh, handled his draft interviews, and his dad, obviously Deion Sanders, very you know got a very abrasive personality, to say the
Yeah,
least.
some of his criticism is warranted for sure, but still,
But
like
that's
you
not
said,
okay.
yeah, to mess with someone's dream like this, that's not good.
Yeah, his son Jax did apologize, and he also called Shador again to apologize, and he accepted his call and said, you know, didn't really affect me. He thought it was, childish, but he was like, we do childish things here and there. So all seems to be well. The Falcons said they're not going to take any disciplinary action, uh, but the NFL still might,
Yeah,
as of this recording.
they're doing their own investigation into it all.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes out of that. But the worst kept secret during the draft was the number one overall pick.
It wasn't Cam Ward.
No. Quarterback from the University of Miami, Cam Ward, goes to the Titans. Worst kept secret in the draft.
Yeah,
No brainer here. The Titans needed their franchise quarterback after the meme machine led their season in 2024. But that looks like it's going to come to an end. Rip Will Levis.
yeah. We'll see if Cam Ward wins the starting job out of training camp. I would say it's probably like 60 or 70% chance with the way Will Levis is, but um, it's going to be sad not to have those memes anymore.
Yeah. And we didn't go off the board either. Both of us had Cam Ward as the number one pick.
That is
I'm sure
correct.
everybody did.
I had him the last pick of the draft.
So the second pick is where the fireworks happen.
Yep.
We had a trade right off the bat.
Sorry.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, with their new regime, new GM, new head coach,
Duval.
make a big trade. They trade the fifth overall pick, a second round pick, and a fourth round pick in the draft, and a 2026 first round pick to the Cleveland Browns for the second overall pick, a fourth round pick, and a sixth round pick. And they draft possible generational talent wide receiver / cornerback Travis Hunter out of Colorado.
That's right. A huge, massive trade to after, Cam Ward goes to the Titans, massive trade to start the draft. I missed it. I was in bed sleeping when this took place, so I got to experience it the next day, and I woke up shocked, like holy shit, this actually actually happened. Um, Jarris and I both got this right and wrong at the same time. I picked Travis Hunter to go second overall, but to the Browns.
Yeah, and disclaimer, we didn't like think of doing any trade ups or anything in our draft.
No,
But I actually had him dropping down to number 5 to the Jacksonville Jaguars,
that's
who
right.
originally held the fifth overall pick.
That's right. So
So
we're both wrong and
did I
right.
call it?
We're both wrong and right, but we're just gonna give each other one here. Like we picked it right because we kind of did.
I just want to say, as a Jaguars fan, I absolutely love this move for the organization. Not only is Travis Hunter freakishly athletic, has the ability and the skill that he showed in college to play both the wide receiver and the cornerback position.
Mhm.
I think he is exactly what this franchise needs and he was very excited to go to Jacksonville. I think it's only uh, less than like 50 miles from his hometown, something like that. Um, yeah, just a great move, and it's showing that the new regime wants to make the team better. And what better way to do it than to make a big splash
Yeah.
right off the bat in the draft, and get Trevor Lawrence another weapon to go with Brian Thomas Jr. Um, how realistic do you think, Shay, it is that he does play both positions?
He he's gonna play both positions because he did come out and say if he doesn't, he's not gonna play football. Um, so he is gonna play both, but the NFL compared to college is such a different beast that there's no way he can play every single snap on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, what, 120, 130 snaps
Yeah.
a game?
He
It's just
depending
not possible.
right, depending on how they want to use him either as a wide receiver or corner mainly, it's probably going to be something along the lines of like a 70-30 split. Either 70% he's cornerback and then the other 30 he's the wide receiver or vice versa, depending on how the Jags, think they should use him, but he is going to be going both ways. It'll be really interesting to see his rookie year how he adjusts to just the skill level jump that there is from the college to the NFL level, especially in Colorado. Like they didn't play the toughest competition, so it's going to be very interesting to watch to see how he acclimates to being a professional.
Yeah, Cohen, the coach, already came out and said that they're gonna let him like do whatever, basically let him do his thing.
Yeah, more
Uh,
power to him if he's able to do it. Then hell yeah, that's freaking awesome. But I think it's just going to be a huge challenge.
yeah, this is a great move, and I think with this move and potential other moves that they made in the draft, I think this year is like the absolute last year for Lawrence to finally break through and prove all the doubters wrong.
Yeah,
Like he's had three head coaches now. I mean, really two. We don't count Urban Meyer.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, he's had every opportunity. He's going to be there for a while. He just got Travis Hunter. He has Brian Thomas Jr. They're getting him more weapons. Letting him have a voice. Like this is the year. If not, like he's going to be labeled as a bust.
yeah. Huge splash, like you said, for the new regime, and they're very aggressive, and at the very least, right now shows that they absolutely want to make changes. Moving on to the third pick of the draft, Jairus and I were both wrong. We both said the Giants were going to select Shedeur Sanders and not drop to the fifth round. But that did not happen. And instead, unfortunately for me, the Giants selected edge rusher Abdul Carter from Penn State. Uh, the best by far edge rusher in this year's class. And he's going to be a problem, people. He is going to be a problem. And just he asked, I guess he asked Lawrence Taylor for Lawrence's retired number 56, and Lawrence Taylor told him no. So that is pretty funny.
Yeah, but this guy, like you said, by far the best edge rusher, very disruptive, very good in the pass rush. I believe led his conference in sacks
Yeah,
in his draft year. He's the real deal. So he's gonna probably make an immediate impact at the NFL level.
yeah,
For our fourth overall pick, I was right. Even though Will Campbell's arm span measured very short, the Patriots decided, you know what, we have a young quarterback in Drake May, and we want to protect him. So with the fourth overall pick, they did select offensive tackle Will Campbell out of LSU.
that's right. I had them picking wide receiver Teratra McMillan. Sorry if we butcher any of these names because you're all new to us. But yep, I was wrong.
Yeah, but it seems like when you have a rebuilding team and you have like your young quarterback, because that's the most important position. Always get your franchise quarterback first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you want to protect him. And then usually it seems like teams either go, okay, we're going to draft offense and try to score a bunch, or draft defensively minded and try to limit the amount of points.
Right. Yeah.
So what if they had selected Terriotra McMillan? Like I thought, okay, good. That was a good move. But I think for the offensive tackle, I think it was best that they selected Will Campbell.
Yeah. Try to, protect Drake May there and make sure he has a clean pocket. To the 5th pick, I was right and wrong with this. I had the Jaguars because we didn't do any trades. I had the Jags picking defensive tackle Mason Graham out of the University of Michigan. However, because of the trade, the Browns got defensive tackle Mason Graham, and he will be very scary next to, you know,
You know,
why is his name escaping me right now?
Myles Garrett.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you were like joking for
No, I
was like, wait, what?
could not think of it for the life of me. Against next to Myles Garrett, yeah, that'll be a very scary combo for the Browns.
Yeah, as previously mentioned, I had Travis Hunter falling to 5th. I knew it was very, very unlikely, but I kind of called it. The
Yep.
Jaguars did end up getting Travis Hunter, so let's go Duval. Moving over to the 6th overall pick, I had the Las Vegas Raiders selecting wide receiver Terriotra McMillan from Arizona State, and Shea had them selecting running back Ashton Genty out of Boise State, which they did. They drafted running back Ashton Genty out of Boise State, which made a lot of sense. A team that was dead last in the rushing game in the NFL last season. Yeah, he is going to be an immediate impact on the Raiders alongside Brock Bowers.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see him in the silver and black.
Cannot
He's
wait to see what he does.
I would argue he is probably going to be one of the top 5 rushers in the league his rookie year. He's that, at least in my opinion, he is he's that good. The 7th pick of the draft, I had the Jets taking tight end Tyler Warren. Jarris, you were correct.
Yep, I had them taking offensive line Armand Membu from Missouri, and that's exactly what they did. Again, they signed Justin Fields in the offseason. Justin Fields not like a young quarterback, but he's had his seasoning in the NFL. So you still want to protect him, I would think. So that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, they need the O-line help.
Yeah, and throughout I think this is like the 4th year out of 5 years that they've selected an offensive tackle in the first round.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. So hopefully Armand Membu works out for them. All right, moving on to the 8th overall pick. For the Carolina Panthers, I had them selecting linebacker Jalon Walker
We both did.
from the University of Georgia. I think that was only the 2nd pick that we both agreed on.
Yeah.
And that was it.
No, 3rd, because we had Cam Ward too. Cam Ward, Jador Sanders, and Jalen Walker.
Oh yeah. So that was the 3rd pick that we both agreed on.
Yeah.
But they select Tataiora.
Yep.
Sure.
McMillan.
Tataiora McMillan from Arizona, wide receiver. I'm gonna start that over. All right, moving on to the 8th overall pick by the Carolina Panthers. We both had them selecting linebacker Jalon Walker from the University of Georgia, but with Terriotra McMillan falling to number 8th, that's who they selected, wide receiver out of Arizona State.
Yeah, they thought they were going to go defense here, but they went offense, which I think also makes sense. Bryce Young took the correct strides forward last year, especially the second half of the year. He really showed a lot of improvement after getting benched. And now he's getting some more help. And I think this is only going to make him and that Panthers offense look even better.
Yeah.
Moving on to the ninth pick of the 2025 NFL Draft. The Saints selected Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle out of Texas. I had QB Jackson Dart going to the Saints, and Jarris had defensive tackle Mason Graham going to the Saints. But they chose to help out their O line, which they did need. So Kevin Banks is going to be that O line help. Looks like Derek Carr is sticking around a little bit. He's coming off an injury, but I still don't know what the Saints are going to do at quarterback.
No, I don't. I don't remember if they drafted a quarterback in the later rounds. But
Maybe I don't know.
but Derek Carr, I remember reading that his season could very well be in jeopardy. So they might have to roll with Spencer Strider as
Yeah,
their starter.
yeah.
So yeah, good luck with that, Saints. And then the final pick for us for our mock draft, number 10, the Chicago Bears. I actually had Ashton Genty falling all the way to number 10 to the Bears, and Shea had
Outside linebacker Mikael Williams.
yeah. So we were both wrong.
Yep.
Not like a surprising move, but I didn't expect them to go tight end. But they selected Colston Loveland, tight end from the University of Michigan.
Yeah. Caleb Williams gets that safety valve that he really needed last year. As we talked last season before the season started, the Bears were primed to have Caleb Williams be in a really historic spot, maybe the most set up rookie QB, and then it all fell apart in true Bears fashion. So this is a really great pick, and like I said, it's another safety valve for him that he so desperately needed.
Yeah. And I lied. This wasn't our last pick. We're going to jump down here.
We'll last on the top 10.
Yeah. And talk about the Bengals because that was the next pick on our draft because we just did the top 10 and then our teams.
Yeah.
They ended up picking number 17, and the Bengals drafted defensive end Shamar Stewart with the 17th overall pick. I had them drafting linebacker Jihad Campbell with this pick, and Shea was correct on his pick.
Shamar Stewart, yeah.
Now, this pick is interesting because Shamar Stewart has the ability and he has all the physical tools to be a good pass rusher at the NFL level. But in 3 years with Texas A&M, he only had 4.5 total sacks,
which is not good. Not
which is
what
not
you would
good
expect
production
from someone with his talent.
So it concerns me a little bit because with the uncertainty still with Trey Hendrickson, Shamar Stewart's going to be expected to come in and make an immediate impact on that defense.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. If he puts it all together, great. Then we'll have our second pass rusher if we do end up trading Trey Hendrickson or his replacement at a cheaper cap hit. But if not, things could go south real quick for the Bengals defense.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a bit of a risky pick. However, if the Bengals feel like they have a plan that they can implement to get him to where they think he could be and what his potential shows, then it could very well be a steal. With their pick. Moving on to the final. Oh, just kidding. The Eagles traded up to number 31. They traded with the team whose ass they whooped in the Super Bowl, the Kansas City Chiefs. We both, again, didn't really have any trades, so we both were going to pick them to pick, the last pick of the draft, number 32. I had them taking defensive tackle Walter Nolan. Jarris had them taking
offensive line Josh Connerly Jr. from the University of Oregon. Just because that Lane Johnson's getting older, I figured they would consider that and maybe draft his replacement.
Hell no. They drafted Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama, and not Eagles bias here. I have seen this a lot really since the first day of the draft. A lot of people are saying this could be the steal of the draft. The fact that Campbell fell all the way to 31 and the Eagles scooped him up. Ooh, he could only make the best defense in the league even better.
Yeah, apparently he's had shoulder problems throughout his college career, and that's why he fell in the draft. But the Eagles, don't care. And I have full faith in Howie Rosen that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So yeah, the Eagles traded up. The Chiefs received the 32nd overall pick, which they used to draft an offensive tackle, and they also received a 5th-round pick. So didn't have to give up a lot at all.
No.
For Jahad Campbell.
Eagles had 4 5th-round picks. So
yeah, and I agreed. Like this could be for sure the steal of the draft. So yeah. So moving on with that from the 2024 Super Bowl champions, 2025.
Go Birds, baby.
2025 Super Bowl champions.
Go Birds.
I'm gonna redo that too.
Oh,
because I said 2024. All right, moving on from the pick of the 2025 Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Go Birds.
Let's go.
Go
We're
Birds.
going to hop down and talk about a couple picks that were interesting. Maybe not in a good way. Maybe were a little bit of a head scratcher at the time. Which the first pick is the Bucks. After having one of the worst pass defenses in the league, I thought with Jahdae Barron falling in the draft all the way to 19th that they for sure were going to take a cornerback. No, they took wide receiver Emeka Egbuka
when Ohio State.
When they already have a wide receiver room including Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jalen McMillan.
Yeah.
That's very, very shocking pick. I mean, Mike Evans is in a contract year. He is getting older. So, like, I can see that maybe they want to think a little bit ahead. But in my opinion, Baker is a little on the older side. And I think they needed to make a pick that allows them to contend right now.
Yeah, because the very next pick was arguably one of the better cornerbacks or one of the best corners in this draft. Jahdae Barron went to an already extremely good Broncos defense. So
I think the Broncos are going to be, I just want to say right now, I think the Broncos are going to be really, really, really good this upcoming season.
Yeah, they've had a top 5 defense the last 2 years, and they could very well have the number 1 defense this upcoming season when that comes around in September. But yeah, very questionable. Who knows? Maybe it'll work out, but the Bucks definitely need help on the defensive side.
Yeah, that's why it was so shocking. So that was really the first pick of the draft that was like, what?
Yeah,
for sure. So the next pick that we're going to talk about is the Steelers. The Steelers at number 21 after the Broncos pick drafted defensive tackle Derek Harmon. The reason that this is a very interesting pick, he's from Oregon. Who's their quarterback?
Who the hell knows?
Aaron Rodgers, off in Peru again.
Yep.
Getting treatments.
Yep.
No. Yeah, they had Jackson Dart. They had Shedeur Sanders, like literally sitting right there. Jackson Dart didn't go until the 25th overall pick. The Steelers did end up drafting a quarterback in the 2nd round, I believe.
But it was either 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah, it was kind of also a head scratching move for me because like I don't know who's playing center for him. You don't go out and trade for DK Metcalf if you don't have a signal caller.
They must be really confident that they're getting Aaron Rodgers. He's going to come back from his vacation and
go sign with the Vikings.
Go sign with the Vikings, or be like, you know what? Yeah, I was going to come back, but I'm at peace with my mind and my body. I'm retiring. Now, what do the Steelers do?
Yeah, so that was interesting. We'll see. But as we all know, they're going to finish above 500. They're going to be a
Yep.
wild card team,
Yep.
and then they're not going to do anything in the playoffs.
Exactly.
That's the Steeler way, baby. All right. With the next pick that we're going to talk about at 23, the Packers in their home at Lambeau Field take wide receiver Matthew Golden, who everyone thought was going to be the next wide receiver taken off the board.
Yeah.
This is notable as well because this is the first wide receiver they've drafted in the first round since 2002.
Yeah. A team that notoriously did not do anything to help Aaron Rodgers and his offense in the drafts when he was there because who the hell knows? They did not believe in drafting wide receivers. So this is huge for Green Bay Packers fans because finally it seems like the front office listened to the fans because they've been begging for this for 7, 8 years now.
Yeah. So another weapon for Jordan Love, who's looking to have a little bit of a bounce back season from last year. So I like the pick. This is probably exactly what they need.
Yeah.
All right. And we have a trade.
Another trade.
That's right. The Giants trade a second, fourth, and a 2026 third round pick to the Texans to move up 6 spots or 9 spots for the 25th overall pick. And they select their potential next franchise quarterback, Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Yeah, the Giants here kind of similar to the Jags, showing some aggressiveness and showing that they are trying to at least invoke some change. They got Abdul Carter early in the draft, and obviously that's a massive pickup, a massive win for them. And they got aggressive and moved up to get Jackson Dart. He is a good quarterback for sure, and to have Russell Wilson be over him and be a mentor his first year, I really think could help Jackson Dart's development. And who knows, maybe he can be their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and we'll know within the next, 3 or 4 years once their rookie deals are up if any of them go to the Eagles.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the final trade of the first round, this was a lot to give up,
Yeah.
in my opinion, for this pick. The Atlanta Falcons, now they are notorious for not drafting pass rushers in the first round. And fans also have been begging for this for years.
Yeah.
Because they had one of the worst pass rushes last season. The Falcons, though, give up a second round pick in this draft and also a seventh round pick and a 2026 first round pick to the Los Angeles Rams for the 26th overall pick and a third round pick. And they select edge James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee. So they selected 2 pass rushers in the first round because they also got linebacker Jalen Walker with the 15th overall pick. But yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of draft capital to give up.
Yeah, but they really tried to bolster their defense. So it's a lot, but I think it was the right move to get 2 premier pass rushers, help out that pass defense and the run game too. But uh, they were also aggressive, and we'll see if it works out. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah. So in all terms, there were only 8 offensive players drafted in the first round. So it was definitely a way more defensively focused draft.
Yes, especially this draft, the QB class was not very good, especially compared to last year. Next year, though, people are saying online, like experts and analysts are saying, next year's QB class could be the greatest of all time. So we will see about that. But yeah, this draft was not a very offensive heavy one. It wasn't as strong of a draft, at least the first round overall, as compared to previous years. Is one of the weaker drafts we've had in a little while, but still exciting. Obviously, a lot of moves that were made, and still a huge success either way.
Yeah. everyone's saying that it's going to be a weak draft. Maybe not in terms of star power or high end talent, but this could still be like a very deep draft. You just never know. With a draft,
No.
it's all basically like lottery. You have your scouts, you pick your players, and to me, like it's not the draft that's most important. It's the development.
Yeah, and something I actually saw the other day from the 2013 draft class. There's only one active player in the entire NFL that is still playing.
And who is that?
Lane Johnson.
From who? Your 2025 Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles, Lane Johnson, baby.
Hell yeah. So that just shows you like 2013 turned out to be a very weak draft.
One of the
However,
worst draft class of all time.
yeah, however, Lane Johnson is one of the greatest O linemen of all time. So
Yeah, and you're gonna find like those steals in later rounds as well.
yeah. So that will do it for the draft. Our thoughts, I think, pretty much the same. It was exciting. A lot of surprises. Shador Sanders, can't believe he fell all the way
Good
he
luck
did.
to all these men
Yeah,
that have entered the NFL, and good luck. I hope all your careers are long and
yeah. Make a lot of
plentiful.
money and provide for your family.
Yeah, it's a very exciting time. I know a lot of people in the draft end up getting cut after 1 or 2 years, but nobody can take away this moment from you.
Yeah,
You made
exactly.
it. You got drafted. You are in the NFL.
Exactly.
Couple other quick notes. Shador Sanders' brother, Shiloh Sanders, ended up signed as an undrafted free agent with the Bucks.
Yep.
And the Bucks signed 464-pound linebacker Desmond Watson from the University of Florida. So now they're going to have a defensive line with Vita Vea and Desmond Watson.
It's a lot of meat in the
Big boy. Yeah. So there's that. Anyways, moving on
to the playoffs.
to the playoffs. This is where the season really comes down. The regular season does matter,
Okay.
but you play for the playoffs.
The regular season only really matters in the NFL, or at least matters more in the NFL because there's way less games.
Yeah. The regular season does matter. You still have to play the games. You still have to win. You still have to make it. But the playoffs is where it's at.
Yes.
So, beginning with the NBA, we're going to go over
series by series,
every game, every score, all the good moments, all the bad moments, starting off with the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah. Indiana Pacers. They did win game 2, 123 to 111. However, the Bucks rebounded at home with a 117 to a 101 victory in game 3. But the Pacers did answer with a 129 to a 103 victory in game 4 to take a 3-1 series lead. And unfortunate,
Very
extremely
sad.
extremely unfortunate injury for Damian Lillard, who just came back from blood clots. He tore his left Achilles, which obviously ended his season. Probably not even going to be able to start next year.
Yeah.
Start the season next year, I should say. So extremely unfortunate. They of course still have Giannis, who is a monster in his own right. But not good. And the Pacers, they're one game away.
Yeah. The Pacers have put the Bucks on the ropes, and they've shown that they're building off of last year's playoff run.
Yeah, and as of this recording, which is April 29th, if it means anything, at halftime the Bucks are up 47-41 right now. But
all right, we'll see if the Bucks can force a game 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on, the Memphis Grizzlies, they get swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Game
which
two
we
is a
both predicted in
yep.
our video.
Game two is a loss. I mean, these are all losses, but game two by 118 to 99. Game three by a score of 114 to 108. After being up 29 points, the Thunder completed a historic comeback to win game three. And then John Moran got injured and he was unavailable for game four. And they lost 117 to 115 to get swept. The Thunder now await the winner of the Clippers and Nuggets series.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we both picked the Thunder to sweep the Grizzlies.
Not surprised.
A little surprised that the Grizzlies made it really close in game four without John Morant. So that's interesting. However, it's, I mean, not too much to say on my end, at least, about this one. Not surprised. Moving on to the Lakers, though. Lakers series against the T-Wolves. The Lakers did win game two, 94 to 85. However, the Timberwolves responded with 116 to 104 victory in game three and a close 116 to 113 win in game four to take a 3-1 series lead.
Against LeBron and Luka.
Yeah, they do not play tonight as of this recording. So yeah, Anthony Edwards, he's a fucking dog.
Yeah, this guy plays at his best in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's exactly the kind of player you need on a contending team.
Exactly.
Love watching him play. So yeah, the Lakers are on the ropes, and I predicted LA to win though in 7 games in a very close series. I knew the Timberwolves were not going to be an easy out, but they have really impressed me thus far.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on to the next series, the LA Clippers going across the city. They took a 2-1 series lead with 117 to 83 victory, but then the Nuggets won game 4, 101 to 99. Aaron Gordon, this fucking guy. Nikola Jokic lobs it up from the 3-point line. He takes it, dunks it. But it wasn't in time, right?
It was 0.1.
That's right. The first ever game-winning dunk in NBA playoff history was called good on the court. They reviewed it, and they held up the call.
That's right.
So the Nuggets, instead of the Clippers taking a 3-1 series lead, the Nuggets tie the series at 2-2. And the Clippers almost won this game. In the second half, they went on a 32-9 run.
Yeah.
To almost complete the comeback.
Aaron Gordon said, "Not today."
Yeah, just insane game. I watched that game.
They do play tonight, both teams. So when we wake up tomorrow, well, as of this recording, we'll see who has the lead in the series here. But moving on to the Knicks, who also play tonight against the Pistons. The Knicks did hold on to win game 3, 118 to 116, and game 4, 94 to 93. Close games here in this series of a very controversial missed call. And so they do have a 3-1 series lead against Detroit right now. And again, this recording the 29th, they do play tonight.
Yeah, the missed call. One of the Pistons players went up to shoot a 3, and one of the Knicks players did foul him. The coach was not happy about a non-call.
No.
And I just want to say I've realized over the last couple of years that leagues do not like it when playoff games are decided based on reffing.
Yeah. The NBA did come out, I think today or yesterday, saying that it should have been called a foul, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I think for Pistons fans and Pistons staff, they probably would have been better off just not saying anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even know why they do that. But yeah, the Knicks put a stranglehold, but it doesn't matter because Boston's going to the finals.
Yeah.
Sorry. Moving on to the next series, the Houston Rockets even the series with a game 2 victory, 109 to 94. But the Warriors respond with 2 victories in a row by a score of 104 to 93 in game 3 and 109 to 106 close one in game 4 to put a 3-1 stranglehold on the number 2 seeded Houston Rockets.
Yeah, the Warriors, they look like they're playing that, hey, our window is closing here with, Steph Curry, Draymond Green and company,
One last ride.
and they're playing like it. They look like they could get to at least the finals and take on OKC, presumably, in the Western Conference Finals and make a run at another Larry O'Brien trophy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the Heat are, out of the
Don't worry,
playoffs.
we'll get to the Heat. The Boston Celtics, though, they do play tonight. Beat the Orlando Magic in game 2, 109-100. Then Orlando did respond with a 95-93 win at home in Orlando, only for the Celtics to, be the Celtics and win 107-98 to take a 3-1 series lead. Again, they do play, as of this recording, the 29th, tonight in Boston. This has been a very physical series. The Magic have been extremely physical. Hurting Tatum, he missed game 2, I think it was. Kristaps Porzingis got elbowed in the
Oh, I
forehead
did see
and
that.
was bleeding and needed stitches. So even Jaylen Brown came out
right back to make his free throws too.
Yeah.
I think while still
still bleeding. Yeah,
Just had a patch on his forehead.
yeah. Jaylen Brown came out after, I think, game 2 or 3, saying that the Magic have been extremely physical, and that this isn't even basketball anymore. We're just trying to hurt guys. So, bit of a controversial series here. However, the Celtics, as we just said, took game 4 and won pretty handily to bring it back to Boston, where, I mean, listen, Magic fans, you said we want Boston. And
This is what happens when our fan base is going to learn that you do not chant for the team that you want in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
There's that. Moving on to the final series of the playoffs that we're going to recap. This was just sad, to be honest. This was a sad thing to watch. I was not surprised at all. I just want to say that the Cleveland were going to sweep the Heat. We both picked that in our brackets, but the way they did it was kind of embarrassing. They sweep the Heat in historic fashion. Game 2 by a score of 121-112. Game 3 was a blowout, 124-87, and Game 4 was an even bigger blowout, 138-83.
Yeah, none of these games are that close, and
Not even remotely close.
the Heat looked like a high school basketball team playing against the best team coming out of the East right now, the Cavaliers. So it was rough.
Yeah, Tyler Herro said after the game that it was very humbling, and he did not expect.
For sure. That's one way to put it.
He did not expect them to get blown out like that the way they did. What's next for the Heat? Like, where do they go from here?
That Jimmy Butler trade, even though it was great for the locker room, did not work out.
Well, I mean,
I would say.
We didn't make it because we wanted it to work out. We made it because we kind of had to.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about that. Butler throughout his entire career, it's been a trend. Whenever as soon as he's not happy somewhere, he wants a trade, forces his way out. So I'm not surprised. But in terms of the Heat, I don't think we need a full-on rebuild. Like, I think, maybe try to trade some guys away that are pending UFAs, get some draft picks, maybe go out and get, a couple splashes of free agency, get some players. Could be right back in it next year. So we'll see what happens. But as of right now, like, we need a focal point in the offense, and we need some defensive players.
Yeah, the Heat have
not play good defense.
Right. The Heat have good players, but they don't have that superstar like with Jimmy Butler or LeBron and D Wade before him. Like, they just don't have like you said, that focal point to lead the team.
Yeah. Also, Harrow is on an expiring contract, so we'll see if he gets extended.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is it. Heat culture, yay. um. So yeah, that's what happened in the NBA, and now we're gonna get what happened to the in the NHL because I have some words. Just before we get into the NHL, I just have to say one thing. Sports for me right now is basically over, and I'm very sad. We'll get into what happened with the Lightning in a minute, but the Heat got swept. The Bengals missed the playoffs. The Jaguars missed the playoffs. And even though I still have the Rays and I love the Rays, I don't think they're going to do anything this year.
Yeah.
I'm just being realistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, sports right now is basically over for me.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get to why here with the
so
Lightning, but
rip Jarris's sports teams.
yeah, but Jarris is going to lead us off with Carolina here in the first series to start the NHL.
That's right. The Carolina Hurricanes won game 2, 3-1 against New Jersey after winning game 1. But the Devils responded with a 3-2 overtime victory off rookie defenseman Simone Nemich's first playoff goal, only for the Canes to win game 5 or game 4 5-2 to take a 3-1 series lead. But their starting goaltender Freddie Anderson got hurt after a collision with Devils forward Timo Meier, and he has been ruled out for the next game.
Yeah, that next game being tonight as we are recording. Um, probably pretty concerning here for the Canes, but you're up 3-1. So I think you would be okay dropping a game if it meant getting Anderson back for for game 6.
Yeah, I don't have any doubt with this that the Devils are still going to lose this series.
Yeah.
I think it's the Hurricane series to win, and their backup Kochetkov is still a serviceable goaltender.
Right, exactly. The Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights, the next series we're going to talk about. The Wild did win game 2 and 3 against Vegas, both by a score of 5-2. However, the Golden Knights then tied the series back up with a 4-3 overtime victory in game 4. So this series is now 2-2, and both teams also play tonight in Las Vegas to see who comes out and takes a 3-2 series lead.
Yeah, for the Wild, they have not won a round since 2015. And Vegas being as good as they are at home, the Wild need to win this game.
Yeah.
If they don't, they will be down 3-2 in the series and be on the brink of elimination.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, it's time.
It's time.
It's time.
Let's get it out.
Ring
get
the
it
bell.
out there. It's good to talk about it.
This is now a therapy session, not a podcast. So the Battle of Florida. I love it. Through and through, even though it's not going well for us. This is a great rivalry. Never even met in the playoffs until 2021. We beat them 2 years in a row. Both years we went to the Stanley Cup final. Won one cup, lost one cup. Then Florida answers us back in 2024 because 2023 we lost to Toronto. They beat us 4-1 in the series. They go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. They win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So every single year since 2020, a Florida team has been in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
I just want to say right off the bat, there is no denying that Florida is a hockey state. Hockey is alive and well here in the hottest state possible for the sport, and it is thriving.
Yeah, whether it deserves to be a hockey state is another conversation for another day, but it is certainly a hockey state.
Well, it's both teams have cups, so I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. So yeah, I just want to lead off with that. No matter what, I love the Battle of Florida. It's always intense. It's always physical. It's close. Unfortunately for us, it is not going our way. So first off, in game one, Vasilevsky had just an awful game. Saved 10 out of 16 shots. We lose 6-2 and just we were not even in that game whatsoever. Big blowout to start the series. Game two,
At home, mind you, at home.
yeah, we are at home. We have home ice advantage. Game two, looking to rebound, tie the series, heading back to Sunrise. We get shut out 2-0. So one game, our goaltender can't make a save. Then the second game, our goaltender is locked in and proved that he just had a bad game. And then we can't score.
Yep.
Lose 2-0, get shut out. We had so many chances and we just could not find the back of the net. So down 2-0 going back to Sunrise. But there was some controversy in that game too because Brandon Hagel had a late hit on Alexander Barkov, the captain of the Florida Panthers, and he was ineligible to receive a check in the first place because he did not touch the puck. What did you think of that hit?
I mean, seeing the hit initially, I didn't think it was that bad. But if that's the way the rule's written, because he did not touch the puck,
Yeah, because he did not touch the puck, he is ineligible to receive a check of any fashion.
yeah, if that's the way the rule is written, then by rule, it is a bad hit. It's a dirty hit.
Yep. So Hagel got 5 in a game. It was late in the third period. But he did receive a suspension. So he was out for game 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Lightning go to Sunrise for game 3, and they responded exactly how I wanted them to. They won 5-1.
Yeah, very good victory.
Yeah.
Bounce back game for sure.
On the empty net goal that put it to 5-1, Matt Tkachuk has a late hit on Gensel. Now, Gensel did touch the puck, but it was a little late, and it was on an empty net play. So, like, it was the puck was going in either way. So, was it a legal hit? Yes. Was it like a great play? Probably not. But I don't have really any issue with that hit because like it was all legal.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing wrong with it, in my opinion. And I'm a Lightning fan, so I'm trying to put this as unbiased as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So last night was like the backbreaker.
As of this recording, again on the 29th.
Yeah, this was the game that really just ripped my heart out because I watched this entire thing. Game 4. Florida scores first. They scored first in every single game in this series, which is a problem.
Yeah.
We scored 2 goals in 11 seconds late in the second period to take the lead. Fastest goals in Lightning playoff history.
Pretty good history there.
Yep. And then Aaron Ekblad has a hit on Brandon Hagel. No penalty called on that hit. Now, what did you think of that? Should there have been a penalty called on the Aaron Ekblad hit on Brandon Hagel? Mind you, Brandon Hagel left the game and would not return.
Yeah. I think it was pretty clear there should have been.
And it was it was literally right in front of the ref.
Yeah. Really, really ugly hit.
Yeah. And if that wasn't bad enough, Aaron Ekblad would be the one to tie the game at 2-2.
Yeah.
After he had scored a goal before, but it was called off because it was offside.
Yeah.
So now the game's tied. I'm like, all right, no, you know what? No big deal. And I just want to say, Cooper, I fucking love you. Because once we scored those 2 goals and you were really mad about the non-call, he got so fired up. He was like, boom, let's fucking go. But it didn't matter.
Nope.
So they scored the tying goal, and I was like, okay, well, all right, you know what? We'll get overtime. 11 seconds later,
another 11 seconds.
They score the go-ahead goal to go up 3-2. So the Lightning score the fastest playoff goals in their history, and then the Florida Panthers score their two fastest goals in playoff history in the exact same amount of time.
Yep.
As even if you're not a Lightning or Panthers fan, you watch this game. This was a fucking wild game. This was probably one of the wildest playoff games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had my hands on my head, and I'm like, no, like, what the fuck just happened? And it was like that goal, McDonough tries to block it, it goes off of his shoulder, and the puck just takes bounces, gets past Vazzy, careens into the net.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that did not just happen. So we didn't get it OT. They won in regulation, and then they scored the empty netter literally right as we pulled the goalie. And we lost 4-2. So instead of going back home with a 2-2 tie, we are now down 3-1 in the series. And Brandon Hagel has been ruled out for game 5.
And the next game is Wednesday, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah, Wednesday. And the Department of Player Safety said that there's a hearing for Aaron Ekblad, so he will be suspended. And I just got to say, let me first say this. I just want to make sure I get this out there. I've seen so many like comments online. If only we had Stamkos. Stamkos was not good this year, and he proved he was a product of Kucherov and the power play. So that wouldn't have made a difference. Well, the refs were on Florida Panthers side. Our power play has been shit. I think we've gone like 1 for 21 in the series. In that game 4, we had a 5-minute power play, and we didn't score on it. Not only did we not score on that power play, we didn't even get one shot on net.
Yeah, that's not good.
For 5 minutes.
That's not good.
Just like Shrek said. For 5 minutes. Like, you can't say the refs have been on Florida's side when our power play, after being third or fourth best in the regular season, has been 15 out of 16 in playoff teams.
Yeah.
So it's not that. The bottom line is, and this is what happens every single series in any sport, the better team is winning right now. Florida's outplaying us. They are outchancing us. They are destroying our offense with their just aggressive forecheck, pinching along the boards. They are neutralizing Kucherov. Art Ross winner, maybe Hart winner, and we're just outmatched. So I'm a Lightning fan, and I'm admitting right now that we're just losing to the better team. And every single analyst picked the Lightning to win this series because Florida did not look good going into the playoffs. This is why you don't base the playoffs on the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn that switch on. It's hard, don't get me wrong, but a team can flip that switch come playoff time, and they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. They know what it takes to win.
Yep.
And they're proving that. And they're likely going to win this series and might be on their way to their second straight Stanley Cup.
That's right. We have a video coming out of our playoff prediction for the NHL as well, and I did pick the Lightning to get swept. Now that did not happen, but you picked them to lose in
6.
So that is still currently on the table. Again, game 5 is Wednesday. So by the time this episode comes out, we'll know if there's going to be a game 6 or not. But hey, it's okay.
And the last thing I want to say is, all like really truthfully, as unbiased as possible. No, I'm serious. Like, I think the Department of Player Safety has been pretty bad at ruling suspensions this series.
Yeah.
You got a hit that was illegal, yes, and it was a hard hit. Get 5 thrown out of the game, and you get a 1-game suspension.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. Then you have a hit that arguably was targeting because it was Brandon Hagel on with Aaron Ekblad. Literally, it wasn't a check. Like he literally took his elbow, put it into his chin, which could be labeled as like a head hit,
Hmm.
and pushed him down to the ice, and he hit his head on the ice.
Yep.
No penalty called. Not even 2-5 nothing. No penalty at all.
No penalty.
And then they come out and say, "All right, well, we're going to suspend him." I think that's a load of shit. Like when are we going to get some consistency with suspensions, fines? I just want to say the fines are the most stupid fucking thing I've ever seen. $5,000 is the maximum allowed.
That's in the CBA.
So like nobody's ever happy with fines. Basically, it's not about the fine; it's about them letting you know, like, okay, we're watching you.
Hmm.
So now there's a slap on the wrist, and then the next one's probably going to be a suspension. But I don't know. Like, if somebody has watched the series and like knows about the hits, leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts because I think the inconsistency with Department of Player Safety in this series has just been apparent. I think they would have been better not suspending Ekblad at all, just personally. And I'm honestly concerned because I feel like in game 5, especially if it's a blowout on either side, I feel like it's going to get really freaking ugly. And I think somebody could get seriously hurt. That is my honest opinion. Like no bias or nothing.
Yeah, this series has been very physical and
This has been the ugliest the Battle of Florida for me has ever been
right. Yeah, the
in terms
series.
of just hatred, physicality.
Yeah,
One of the guys I watched on YouTube said it feels like 2011 Bruins and Canucks.
yeah,
Like by the end of the series, they just wanted to tear each other apart.
right. Exactly. So very physical series. A lot of emotions that are right near the tipping point, ready to boil over. So we'll see how game five goes. Again, Wednesday. Can the Lightning survive another game, or will the Panthers move on to the next round? And but hopefully there's not some big scrum or brawl that causes one or multiple people to get hurt because that's not that's not what sports is about.
Yeah, and anybody says oh well, hockey's in the '80s was like that. Like, yeah, I understand, but we're in 2020s.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
trying to get like these kind of hits
yeah,
that cause injury out of the game. You want to protect the players. Like, if you want to watch hockey in the '80s, like, I mean, I personally enjoy hockey in the '80s. Like, I love the physical stuff, but like, I don't want players for their careers to end like just on a silly like hit, even if
yeah,
it's the playoffs.
yeah. Same shit happens, in the NFL. The game is too soft or whatever. But people got to be safe, and that's ultimately you're playing a game that you love, and at the very end of the day, it's just a game. So that means you should be having fun and having a big brawl and people getting hurt. Like I'm all for fighting in hockey and I love it. I really do. Um, but when it's just an ugly brawl and you don't care about the other person, you just want to hurt them, that's crossing the line.
Yeah. So right now, Lightning season is on the line. We'll see how Game 5 turns out. See if they can respond and bring it back to Sunrise, or will Florida close it out?
Yeah, that's
But
right.
yeah, we're gonna move on. The next series we're gonna talk about Toronto and Ottawa. Ottawa being in the playoffs since 2017. Uh, tough order though to go against Toronto in the Battle of Ontario. Toronto won game 2 and 3 identically in OT, both by 3-2 scores. but Ottawa would avoid the sweep with their own 3-2 overtime victory after killing off a double minor penalty that went from the third period into overtime. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Not easy. Um, is it happening? Are the Leafs going to do it again?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. But I will say right now, Toronto still has a 3-1 series lead. But if Ottawa wins the next game, you got to think there might be that little bit of doubt that starts creeping in.
Yeah, they're playing right now as we are recording, and it is 0-0 in the first period.
Yeah. So we'll see how that game turns out.
Yeah, moving on to the next series, we're going to talk about the St. Louis Blues respond, led by Jim Montgomery, with back-to-back blowout wins, winning 7-2 and 5-1 to tie the series up at 2 apiece. Hellbuck gets pulled both times for the Jets.
The likely Vezina winning goaltender who
Yeah,
has a reputation for choking in the playoffs.
yeah.
Is it happening again?
For the Jets' sake, I hope not, because I'd feel pretty bad for the Jets and their fans.
I would too. The Jets need to go on some sort of run, at least get out of the first round. And if they lose this series for St. Louis, which St. Louis was not going to be an easy out whatsoever. They were one of the hottest teams in the second half of the season.
Thanks to Jim Montgomery.
But Winnipeg, President's Trophy winners, have the likely Vezina winning goaltender. They have 4 lines. They have a great defense. They have it all.
Yeah.
Like they need to win this round. So we'll see. But it's not looking great right now. They need to win the next game.
Yeah, which is Wednesday.
If they don't win the next game, I think St. Louis wins the series.
Oh boy.
All right, moving on. The Washington Capitals against the Montreal Canadiens. They win Game 2 by a score of 3-1, but the Habs respond at home with a 6-3 win in Game 3. And wow, that Bell Center was fucking rocking.
Mm-hmm.
Loud. But Washington wins the next one, Game 4 by a score of 5-2. Sam Montembeault, the Canadian starting goaltender, gets injured and did not play in the next game. He got injured in Game 3 and did not play in Game 4. But in Game 4, it got pretty ugly. Both teams were fined $25,000 after warm-ups incident between Canadiens defenseman Arber Xhekaj and Caps forward Dylan McElrath. And the Tom Wilson incident. Tom Wilson is at it again with his antics, taunting the Canadiens bench, and it almost led to a bench clearing brawl.
Yep.
Which is illegal. You cannot do that. But yeah, they were fighting right alongside the bench, and you could see the players were like right ready to jump out.
Oh yeah.
It got pretty ugly.
Oh yeah.
The Caps now lead the series 3-1, going back to Washington.
Yes, and Game 5 is Wednesday as well.
So we'll see if the Washington Capitals can close it out and get to the second round.
That's right. The Dallas Stars, their series with the Colorado Avalanche, they won 2-1 in overtime in Game 3, and have only led for 62 seconds in the first 3 games, which is
first
wild.
3 games only led 62 seconds, had a 2-1 series lead.
Yeah, wild. The Avs did respond, though, with a 4-0 shutout in Game 4. Landeskog with a goal and an assist, his first since June 20th of 2022. So huge congratulations.
Yeah.
To him.
Even if you hate the Avalanche, if you don't feel great for Gabriel Landeskog, then you're not a hockey fan.
Correct.
It's just such a good story.
Exactly. So huge congratulations to him. But the Stars would respond in Game 5 with a 6-2 victory to put Colorado on the brink, as the Stars have a 3-2 series lead, and Blackwood was pulled after his first playoff shutout.
Yeah, he got the shutout in Game 4, against the Stars, and then he was pulled after only saving 13 out of 18 shots.
Yeah.
So the Stars with a huge response, and they have all of the momentum. They do go back to Denver, though. So we'll see
Yeah.
if the Avalanche can win at home to tie the series and force a game 7.
We'll see.
All right, the last series right now of the playoffs that we're going to get into this episode, the Kings and the Edmonton Oilers, the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers, the 4th year in a row meeting in the first round. The Kings dominated the Oilers on home ice. We already talked about game 1, and in game 2 was the same. They won 6-2. Stuart Skinner, Oilers starter, was pulled after only saving 23 out of 28 shots.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's a goaltending controversy in Oil County.
Could be.
But the Oilers would respond on home ice as well with wins in games 3 and 4 by scores of 7-4 and 4-3 in overtime to even the series at 2 apiece. Leon Draisaitl with his first playoff OT winner of his career. Congratulations to him. And the Oilers' backup Calvin Pickard started both games in net. For the Canes, they need to win this series too.
Yeah.
Might be happening again. That's like the question. Is it happening again?
Yeah.
Yeah. For the Canes, probably their best chance out of the 4 times to beat the Oilers. And they're having a lot of trouble closing out games in third periods. And they're not good on the road. They're much better at home. They need to win a road game if they're going to win this series.
Yeah. The next game is tonight, the night that we are recording. I think if you're the Oilers, you're gonna stick with Pickard here. He's the hot goalie right now. Keep him in net until things change. You gotta go with what's working until it doesn't. So
Yeah. Do you think with the same problems that they were having last year's playoffs, can the Oilers realistically make it back to the Stanley Cup final?
yes, they have McDavid and Draisaitl. If they didn't have those two, or even just one, I would say they probably have no chance. But just because of those two, they have it. They will always have a chance.
All right. I agree with you. I do. And Skinner showed last year he was good when it mattered.
Yeah,
His stats were so much better in games 4 through 7 of the series. But yeah, it's not a good start. So
no.
they need to get the game together in net.
Yeah,
That's
but it's
sure.
tied up, so they got the job done.
And as of right now, every series in the West is tied at 2 apiece, and every series in the East is a 3-1 series lead.
It was crazy. The symmetry is real.
Yeah, I think that shows just how much stronger the West is.
Yeah,
right now
yeah,
compared to the East.
Same in the NBA as far as like strength goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for the playoffs and the draft. We're going to take our break here, and when we come back, we're going to get into the rest of the episode. So we will see you all very soon. Welcome back, everyone, after the break.
Breaking news.
That's right.
Jarris, what happened in hockey? What we just talked about.
Yep, I just went on a huge rant and talked about Aaron Ekblad's hit and how he had a hearing, and it has come out Aaron Ekblad will miss the next 2 games at least for the hit on Brandon Hagel. Yep. So if the Lightning win Game 5, they will be without Ekblad for Game 6, and if Florida closes out the series, then it doesn't even matter. But yeah, no, this could be a big momentum shift. You just never know.
Yeah, so we'll see.
We'll see what happens on Wednesday night. But getting into sports news from around the world, a couple NBA awards were awarded. Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers wins Defensive Player of the Year. First Cav to actually win the award.
Yep.
Jalen Brunson of the Knicks wins the Clutch Player of the Year. And San Antonio Spurs' Stephen Castle wins Rookie of the Year. So congratulations.
Congrats to all of them.
As we mentioned, Aaron Gordon recorded the first ever buzzer-beating dunk in NBA playoff history. In the NFL, there were a couple record-setting contracts. The Lions and safety Kirby Joseph agreed to a 4-year, $86 million contract, which makes him the highest paid safety in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And the 49ers and George Kittle agree on a 4-year, $76.4 million contract with $40 million guaranteed to make him the highest paid tight end in the league.
And congrats to both of them.
No surprise there. As the
No.
cap continues to go up, there's going to be more record-setting contracts every year.
Exactly.
But yeah, good for them. Good for them on receiving the extensions. Into baseball now, Arizona Diamondbacks player Eugenio Suarez.
Eugenio
Suarez. Why didn't you say it then? Becomes 19th MLB player in history to hit 4 home runs in the same game, first since 2017. But the D-backs would lose an extra innings to the Braves, who have been on a heater. They have won 8 of their last 10 to dig themselves out of the hole that they've created.
Yeah, they're 1-7 or 1-8 hole that they were in to start the year.
Yeah, which did not see that coming.
No.
Now, this next thing is just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So, Cleveland Guardians fan.
Just a little warning if you're sensitive to any mental health stuff.
True, yeah. Guardians fans, the Guardians and the Red Sox, as of this recording, are just ended their series. It was in Cleveland. A Guardians fan was taunting Red Sox left fielder Jarren Duran, and the fan was ejected from the game due to his comments, which I'm not going to repeat on this podcast. I don't think it's necessary to repeat. However, they were disgusting. They were absolutely disgusting. But they basically referred to his mental health problems that Duran talked about and went over in the Red Sox docuseries on Netflix that just came out, which was fantastic. But
and after watching that documentary,
yeah,
yourself and hearing something like that I mean, that's just there's no place for that anywhere.
No. It's like taunting, being a fan and taunting the opposing team or players or other fans. Like, that's all part of the game. Like, that's all fun, and that should be encouraged. However, it crosses a line when you wish someone to, unalive themselves when they had the chance, basically. Which Jarren, I think we did talk about it a couple weeks ago, maybe. But he was extremely brave in his episode that he was able to talk about his mental health problems that he was having in the midst of his struggles being a professional baseball player. And the fact that he has overcome it and has had 2 back-to-back really good seasons, and this year he's off to another great start. He's proven that he has overcome those things, and not that it's still not a struggle, of course it is, but you can persevere. And the fact that, again, the foundation up in Massachusetts that helps people going through mental health issues saw an over 100% uptick in people reaching out, young men reaching out, just shows like the good work that Jarren did by being brave and courageous. And for a fan to throw that in his face is just disgusting. And that shouldn't be
like the lowest of low that you could go as a human being.
Yes.
And
Guardians fans were booing him and talking shit about him. Red Sox fans, obviously.
Nobody joined in.
No.
Just want to say that.
No. This guy
fans helped identify him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This guy should be banned from attending another baseball game for the rest of his life. That's just my opinion, but
I very much agree. Like,
yeah,
going to a sports event like is a privilege.
yeah,
Like, yes, you pay to go there, and like you're supporting your team, but stuff like that's inexcusable. Like, you should
yeah.
not be able to enjoy that if you're gonna do shit like that.
No, Jaron has become my favorite player in all of baseball now, and I this could be just a catalyst to really have him explode this year. And the day after this happened, tonight they're playing the Blue Jays, and he hit a leadoff home run to start the game. So who knows? Maybe this could be a jump start to make his year even better. But uh, just really, really awful that this happened. This shouldn't be in any sport, any game ever. Uh,
Not just in sports too,
just life, yeah.
everywhere. Like, nobody should ever say that.
No, let alone to somebody who was brave enough to literally tell his story to millions of people. And yeah, it was just awful.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see if there's any action taken. I'm sure there will be. But moving on to hockey, a little bit of hockey news. It's the end of an era in Pittsburgh.
Finally,
Uh,
for some people would say.
Yep, the Penguins and coach Mike Sullivan mutually agreed to part ways. Mike Sullivan came in 2016 and won 2 Stanley Cups with the team. Have playoff success has eluded him since then, but he was the second longest tenured coach in the league at the time, only behind John Cooper. Does this turn the Penguins around next season, having a new voice behind the bench, or is their roster too broken to fix? For me, I agree with the latter.
Yeah, I'm sure there could be some benefits, some positive changes to having a new coach, but I think they're too old and too broken to really do anything. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. Also, Rick Tocchet and the Vancouver Canucks agreed that Rick Tocchet will not be returning as the Vancouver head coach. So they are officially in search for another person behind the bench.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
speaking of Vancouver,
Oh, that's right.
the PWHL, which for you layman's out there, is the Professional Women's Hockey League.
And it is thriving. Their takeover tour, all they did this year, expanded schedule, it is alive and well because it's paid off. They have announced a new expansion team in Vancouver.
That's right.
Let's go.
That's freaking awesome.
Awesome.
I'm excited to see what their names and colors are going to be.
Oh yeah. They have some pretty good color schemes and logos. I really like the jerseys, except for the Frost. My own team. I think they could do a lot better.
Yeah.
All right, just a quick standings update because there are only 2 games left in the season. After the break, the Montreal Victoire, who still lead the league in points, and I believe, well, they haven't clinched first place yet, but they did clinch playoff spot. They have 50 points with a record of 11-7, 3-8. Quick reminder, that's wins, overtime losses, and regulation losses. In second, the Toronto Scepters, who did clinch the playoff spot with 45 points with a record of 12-2, 5-9. The Boston Fleet are in third place. They have 1 game left with 44 points with a record of 9-6, 5-9. Ottawa Charge hold on to that 4th playoff spot. 2 games left for them. 42 points with a record of 12-1, 4-11. The Minnesota Frost, the defending champions, are 4 points back with 2 games left. And their next game is against the Ottawa Charge. So their season is on the line.
Yeah, if they lose that, they're done.
Yep. With a record of 8-5-4-11. And the New York Sirens are the only team that are eliminated from playoff contention. After finishing last year at the bottom, they're at the bottom.
Doing it again.
2 games left, 36 points with a record of 8-4-4-12.
Yeah.
So there you go. We'll see how it all shakes down. Wednesday, which is tomorrow at 7 at the time of this recording, is that game. Critical game. between the Frost and the Charge. All right. And more NHL. This just came out this afternoon. We talked about the incident a long time ago, but if you don't remember, just a quick reminder, Adam Johnson was a player in one of the teams in the UK league. Unfortunately, suffered just a horrific incident. Basically, you collide with another player. The player's skate came up, sliced his neck, and fortunately, he died from his injuries. There was tributes everywhere from all the organizations he played for, the NHL and all that. The court that was handling the trial, the British prosecutors, they ruled that the man involved in the incident will not face any charges.
Okay.
So I know it's controversial. I remember the play personally, and I find it really hard to believe that somebody would intentionally go up to kick another player's neck, especially knowing that they have a skate blade on their foot.
Yeah.
I just find that really hard to believe, but some people do think that it was intentional. So, if you know the incident, let us know what you think down in the comments.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to NASCAR.
We're at Dega, baby, Alabama. Ryan Blaney. First of all, it's a super speedway, so
you're not taking your foot off the gas.
Yeah,
for anything.
Jarris and I,
you're even going into pit road.
Yeah, Jarris and I, Talladega and Daytona are our favorite tracks. Most action happens. Pack racing. It's so fun to watch.
There's nothing like it.
However, this race was very uncharacteristic compared to the super speedways and how they normally are. We'll get to that in a second. Ryan Blaney, alongside a few others, though, did go out in an early wreck, and Ryan Blaney now has his 4th DNF of the year, which is currently the most, as we are, I think, 7 or 8 races into the season. Christopher Bell also got wrecked shortly after due to a push from teammate Denny Hamlin, and he did suffer a hard hit into the inside wall down the backstretch, but thankfully he was okay. And he didn't blame Denny at all. That's just pack racing. Sometimes the bumps from the back just don't go your way. Sometimes the pushes just don't go your way. So Austin Cindric won at Talladega. And like I said, it was a very uncharacteristic race from Talladega. Quiet. Only 2 non-stage break cautions, and the race did not go to overtime. There were no wrecks on the final 2 laps. Like, it was very calm for Talladega, for a Daytona race. Like, very, very calm, very weird. But it was still good racing, and Austin Cindric did win in the end, so he has locked his place into the playoffs, and the next race is the Worth 400 at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, they were saying the last few Talladega races were decided on the last lap pass.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen.
Yep.
We always talk about the big one, and if you don't know what the big one is, well, you just should. It's the wreck that takes out almost half of the field, either at some point during the race, usually at the end of the race, because everyone's shoving everyone.
That didn't
happen. And a lot of times it goes to overtime because of those kinds of cautions. That didn't happen. So yeah, very uncharacteristic Talladega race.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens next week at Texas Motor Speedway.
That's right. And finally,
baseball fans. Home run. All right. We're going to do a little standings update. Not going to get too much into stuff because we're running a little short on time, but we're going to give a standings update and talk about our teams a little bit. In the American League East, the Yankees lead the division at 17-12. They're 5-5 in their last 10, followed by the Red Sox, the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles are actually sitting last right now.
Yeah, big surprise to start
pretty
the year.
Surprising. Yeah. The American League Central, the Detroit Tigers, after their playoff run last year, start out hot. They lead the division at 18-11. They were 7-3 in their last 10. The just to mention our teams, the Red Sox are at 16-14 at second, and the Rays are at 500 at 14-14 in third. The White Sox continue to have an incredible season for all the wrong reasons. They're 7-21.
But there is a team worse than them.
Yeah, surprisingly. In the American League West, the Seattle Mariners lead that division at 16-12, 7-3 in their last 10. But right behind them is the Houston Astros at 15-13, followed by the Oakland Athletics, the Texas Rangers, and the Los Angeles Angels. And then for the Central, after the Tigers, it was the Guardians, the Royals, the Twins, and then the White Sox. And then for the National League, the Mets right now are, I believe, in first place. Yeah. Yep, they are in first place. They're 20-9, 8-2 in their last 10 after making that big splash for Juan Soto. The Phillies are second at 15-13, followed by the Braves, who have dug themselves out of a early season deficit, followed by the Washington Nationals, and then the Miami Marlins round out the National League East. In the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs lead the division at 17-12, followed by the Cincinnati Reds, the Milwaukee Brewers, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
The Cubs just swept the defending World Series champions Dodgers, actually.
Oh, wow. But for the Pirates, Paul Skeens is still him.
Yeah, he
Still having
made the Dodgers the most expensive lineup in baseball look like kids.
Yeah, $330 million starting lineup. Speaking of the Dodgers, though, they do lead their division right now, but they are tied with the San Francisco Giants at 19-10 apiece, followed by the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and the Colorado Rockies right now are sitting at 4-24.
They're on pace to only win 24 games,
which would be a worse season than the White Sox.
It would, yes,
by a lot.
By far be the worst season ever.
Right now they have a .143 winning percentage.
Yeah, that's. I don't think that's good.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the Rockies, that division would actually be the strongest division right now in baseball.
Yeah,
I believe
it is. It is the strongest division. Everybody except the Rockies.
Yeah, overall, right now it is the National League East.
The Mets are the best. Have the best record right now.
Or actually, no, it is the Los Angeles Angels. But not everyone's played the same amount of games.
Correct.
So right now it is the American League West, but not by much.
Yeah.
So yeah, do you think the Red Sox are off to a good start, a bad start, or kind of what you expected?
Unfortunately, it's a mirror image of last year so far. Perfectly mediocre. We win some games and then lose some games. Win some games and then lose some games. We lead the league in strikeouts and errors, and that is not how you win championships. So, not happy about it, even though we are currently second, but it's way too early in the season to be happy about being in second place. Our pitching isn't there. Our offense was so cold for a long time. The last few games, we've turned things around, so maybe we're on a bit of a stretch, like a good stretch here. But if it's anything like last year, again, perfectly mediocre, 81-81. We'll win 5 games and then lose 6 games. So who the hell knows? I was, like I said, cautiously optimistic to start the year that we would be a little better than last year, but right now we're right on par with last year.
Yeah, I got to say the same exact thing about the Rays. They're exactly where I thought they would be. Yeah. At a perfect 500. As you know, we basically sold everyone off at the deadline last year. And right now we don't have our own stadium. So,
yep.
But we're making do with Steinbrenner Field. And I personally would love to go to a game and finally watch a baseball game in open field, because you said that's the best way to watch baseball.
Yeah.
Not in a dome.
Unless it's raining.
Yeah, we'll see. We called up, I believe, our top prospect in Chandler Simpson, and probably doing well. Unfortunately, I haven't really watched many games. I've been hooked on the playoffs right now in basketball and hockey. But yeah, we'll see how the rest of the season winds out. I'm not expecting much, so that's why I kind of said that sports might be over for me at this point. But I'm still gonna watch other teams and stuff because I do this podcast for all you fine people out there. So I want to keep up with everything, and not to say that there's not great games, because there are.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see.
That's right.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us for this episode. It was a really good one. If you have listened all the way up to this point, thank you so much. You are our MVP.
Aw, so sweet.
Shay, do you have anything else to say?
Are you sure?
That's right.
No, just thanks for
if anyone.
Yeah.
knows.
Thanks for listening. Hit the subscribe button, any color, day early access, and be on the lookout for some videos coming out soon.
Yeah, that's right. And we got some big things in the works.
Huge, Caroline, huge.
Yeah, make sure to follow our socials, because we might be having some posts coming out that are going to determine future projects on this channel. Just a little foreshadowing there.
What did he say?
But yeah, as every YouTuber says, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button,
Any color.
and follow our socials so you don't miss out on any future content. Leave a comment down below. We would love to chat with you guys. It has been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much for listening again, and we will see you in the next one.